Doing well, guys. I would give you a tip in this video and explain why this happens and what you can do to counteract it. And that's, with granular fertilizer, it actually lowers your pH. And the more you add, the more it's going to lower your pH. And people don't understand this because when they have a certain pH level in their soil and they want to maintain that, but then they plant their food plots and do whatever they do, and you add the granular fertilizer, and then you come back in, whatever it is, the following year, and your pH drop way down below. And they don't understand that, why it happens. And it's because when you buy, say, 1010 fertilizer in 50-pound bags, that's the 50 pounds in there is not all fertilizer. Majority of that is salts and fillers and sulfur and different things, which all that stuff lowers your pH in your soil. And every time you add fertilizer, it's going to drop your pH some. How much is it going to drop? Well, don't really know, but it's going to drop some, and the more you add, the more it's going to drop. And there's a lot of factors that go into that, where you have low CEC levels, low organic matter levels, and this and this and this, but a lot of it is your granular fertilizer. So typically what I like to do is I'm always going to foliar feed fertilizer, micronutrients. I'm always going to do that. It's a better outcome. It's a more efficient way of having good food plots and palatable food plots and healthy food plots. So if you do a soil sample and it calls for 300 pounds of fertilizer, I'm going to cut that in half or fertilize to my CEC's capability of holding the nutrients. So if your CEC is 10, you times that by 10, and that's 100 pounds of fertilizer that your soil can actually hold. So the higher your CEC, the more fertilizer your soil can actually hold to give you good results. So it's two options. If it calls for 300 pounds, whatever your fertilizer is, cut that in half, cut it down to 150 pounds and fertilize at that. Or if you're actually doing soil samples and say you have a 10% CEC, then times that by 10, no matter what your CEC is, times it by 10, and that's roughly how much fertilizer your soil can actually hold. So if I do cut that in half, what I like to do is at planting, adding the fertilizer, I'll also throw in 4 or 5 bags of fertilizer or lime as well to add to the offset to maintain what you have. Obviously, if you have a low pH, then you want to add the recommended lime to bring that pH up. But when it actually gets to where you need it to be, you want to maintain that. And in order to maintain it, then you have to add a few bags of lime at planting. Not only is it going to offset the fertilizer, dropping your pH, but it's also going to sweeten the plants up. Every little bit helps when you're trying to, attract deer. And if you can have the most palatable food plot in that area, the better off you're going to be. Because if you're planting food plots in low pH soils and just very poor quality soil, that food plot's not going to be as attractive as it could be. And you have a neighbor that their property is set up better and they have a more palatable food plot, well, the deer are going to go where the healthiest food is. Deer always seek out the most nutritional food source. That's why when you see a deer in a field browsing, they're picking through, they're browsing, they're picking what's good and what's not. They eat the best, and the rest stays. So that's an important factor with your food plots is you want every edge on that. And obviously there's a lot of stuff into that entry exit and where it's located, how your property is laid out and stuff. But if you can have that plot the most attractive as it can be, the better off you're going to be. So that's just a little tip where to prevent that pH drop, add some lime at planting. Trust me, fertilizer does drop your pH. It has sulfur and different salts and things in it that will drop your pH. It will drop it. How far? Don't really know, but it does happen. I've seen it hundreds of times. And just to counteract that, you add a few bags of lime at planting, and it counteracts that fertilizer drop. Any questions? Post them down below. It's getting an exciting time of year where we're getting ready to plant fall food plots here in the next 3-4 weeks and hang stands and get things set up, and deer season's coming. So any questions, drop them below, give the video a thumbs up, and I'll see you guys on that next video.